Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Printing. A block of type without a raised letter, used for spacing between words or sentences. The unlimited expanse in which everything is located. They tested his ability to locate objects in space. The interval between two times. It all happened in the space of 10 minutes. Any location outside the Earth's atmosphere. The astronauts walked in outer space without a tether. A blank character used to separate successive words in writing or printing. He said the space is the most important character in the alphabet. A blank area. Write your name in the space provided. An area reserved for some particular purpose. The laboratory's floor space. An empty area, usually bounded in some way between things. The architect left space in front of the building. One of the areas between or below or above the lines of a musical staff. The spaces are the notes face. Place at intervals. A rectangular area surrounded on all sides by buildings. Printing. A block of type without a raised letter, used for spacing between words or sentences. One of 4 children born at the same time from the same pregnancy. A muscle of the thigh that extends the leg. The unlimited expanse in which everything is located. The boundless regions of the infinite. Of verbs, not having tense, person, or number, as a participle or gerund or infinitive. Infinite verb form. Too numerous to be counted. An infinite number of reasons. Having no limits or boundaries in time or space or extent or magnitude. The infinite ingenuity of man. Total and all-embracing. God's infinite wisdom. Go far ahead of. He outdistanced the other runners. Size of the gap between two places. The distance from New York to Chicago. The interval between two times. The distance from birth to death. Indifference by personal withdrawal. Emotional distance. A distant region. I could see it in the distance. A remote point in time. If that happens, it will be at some distance in the future. Keep at a distance. We have to distance ourselves from these events in order to continue living. The property created by the space between two objects or points. Any location outside the Earth's atmosphere. The astronauts walked in outer space without a tether. A blank gap or missing part. Complete and absolute. Blank stupidity. A blank character used to separate successive words in writing or printing. Of a surface, not written or printed on. Blank pages. A cartridge containing an explosive charge but no bullet. A piece of material ready to be made into something. Keep the opposing, baseball team from winning. Not charged with a bullet. A blank cartridge. Without comprehension. When I called her name, she gave me a blank look, as though she didn't know me. A blank area. A job in an organization. Assign a location to. A point located with respect to surface features of some region. This is a nice place for a picnic. Assign a rank or rating to. The particular portion of space occupied by something. He put the lamp back in its place. A particular situation. If you were in my place, what would you do? Assign to a station. A space reserved for sitting, as in a theater or on a train or airplane. He sat in someone else's place. Recognize as being. Establish the identity of someone or something. Where you live at a particular time. Your place or mine. Identify the location or place of. Locate. Take a place in a competition, often followed by an ordinal. Put into a certain place or abstract location. A public square with room for pedestrians. Make an investment. Proper or designated social situation. He overstepped his place. A blank area. Any area set aside for a particular purpose. Who owns this place? Estimate. An item on a list or in a sequence. In the second place. Intend, something, to move towards a certain goal. The post or function properly or customarily occupied or served by another. Took his place. A general vicinity. He comes from a place near Chicago. An abstract mental location. He has a special place in my thoughts. Assigned to, a job or a home. Finish second or better in a horse or dog race. He bet $2 on number 6 to place. Place somebody in a particular situation or location. He was placed on probation. Proper or appropriate position or location. A woman's place is no longer in the kitchen. Sing a note with the correct pitch. The passage that is being read. He lost his place on the page. To arrange for. Place a phone call. A person of a specified kind, usually with many eccentricities. The capable type. Identify as belonging to a certain type. Such people can practically be typed. Write by means of a keyboard with types. Type the acceptance letter, please. All of the tokens of the same symbol. The word element contains 5 different types of character. A small metal block bearing a raised character on one end produces a printed character when inked and pressed on paper. He dropped a case of type, so they made him pick them up. A subdivision of a particular kind of thing. What type of sculpture do you prefer? Biology, the taxonomic group whose characteristics are used to define the next higher taxon. Printed characters. Small type is hard to read. A construct whereby objects or individuals can be distinguished. Decide as to where something belongs in a scheme. Attribute or credit to. We attributed this quotation to Shakespeare. An abstraction belonging to or characteristic of an entity. A definite length of time marked off by 2 instants. The difference in pitch between 2 notes. A definite length of time marked off by two instants. The distance between things. A set containing all points, or all real numbers, between two given endpoints. A determination of the place where something is. The act of putting something in a certain place. A point or extent in space. A workplace away from a studio at which some or all of a movie may be made. They shot the film on location in Nevada. A written symbol that is used to represent speech. A written symbol that is used to represent speech. Represent by means of a graph. A visual representation of the relations between certain quantities, represented as points, plotted with reference to a set of axes. A written symbol that is used to represent speech. A visual display of information. Plot upon a graph. A formal recommendation by a former employer to a potential future employer describing the person's qualifications and dependability. Requests for character references are all too often answered evasively. A person of a specified kind, usually with many eccentricities. A real character. The inherent complex of attributes that determines a person's moral and ethical actions and reactions. Education has for its object the formation of character. An imaginary person represented in a work of fiction, play or film or story. She is the main character in the novel. A written symbol that is used to represent speech. The Greek alphabet has 24 characters. A characteristic property that defines the apparent individual nature of something. The radical character of our demands. An actor's portrayal of someone in a play. Engrave or inscribe characters on. Genetics. An attribute, structural or functional, that is determined by a gene or group of genes. Good repute. He is a man of character. A part of an animal that has a special function or is supplied by a given artery or nerve. A particular geographical region of indefinite boundary, usually serving some special purpose or distinguished by its people or culture or geography. It was a mountainous area. The extent of a two-dimensional surface enclosed within a boundary. The area of a rectangle. A particular environment or walk of life. It was a closed area of employment. A part of a structure having some specific characteristic or function. The spacious cooking area provided plenty of room for servants. A subject of study. It was his area of specialization. The extent of a two-dimensional surface enclosed within a boundary. A wide scope. A wide and open space or area as of surface or land or sky. The extent of a two-dimensional surface enclosed within a boundary. The territory occupied by a nation. A politically organized body of people under a single government. The country's largest manufacturer. A particular geographical region of indefinite boundary, usually serving some special purpose or distinguished by its people or culture or geography. Bible country. The people who live in a nation or country. The whole country worshipped him. An area outside of cities and towns. His poetry celebrated the slower pace of life in the country. An ill-defined or arbitrary shape. An unofficial association of people or groups. The smart set goes there. Get ready for a particular purpose or event. Set up an experiment. Several exercises intended to be done in series. He did 4 sets of the incline bench press. Representation consisting of the scenery and other properties used to identify the location of a dramatic production. The sets were meticulously authentic. A relatively permanent inclination to react in a particular way. The set of his mind was obvious. Disappear beyond the horizon. The sun sets early these days. Decide upon or fix definitely. Put or set, seeds, seedlings, or plants, into the ground. Establish as the highest level or best performance. Set a record. Urge to attack someone. Set down according to a plan. A carefully laid table with places set for 4 people. Usually followed by to, or for, on the point of or strongly disposed. We are set to go at any time. Converted to solid form, as concrete. Make ready or suitable or equip in advance for a particular purpose or for some use, event, etc. Determined or decided upon as by an authority. The time set for the launching. Equip with sails or masts. Insert a nail or screw below the surface, as into a countersink. Locate. The film is set in Africa. Fixed and unmoving. With eyes set in a fixed glassy stare. Put into a certain place or abstract location. Adapt for performance in a different way. Set this poem to music. Psychology, being temporarily ready to respond in a particular way. The subject set led them to solve problems the familiar way and to overlook the simpler solution. Become gelatinous. Situated in a particular spot or position. A house set on a hilltop. Fix conclusively or authoritatively. Set the rules. Evil Egyptian god with the head of a beast that has high square ears and a long snout, brother and murderer of Osiris. Arrange attractively. Alter or regulate so as to achieve accuracy or conform to a standard. Estimate. The process of becoming hard or solid by cooling or drying or crystallization. He tested the set of the glue. Bear fruit. Set in type. My book will be typeset nicely. A group of things of the same kind that belong together and are so used. A set of books. Any electronic equipment that receives or transmits radio or TV signals. The early sets ran on storage batteries. Apply or start. Set fire to a building. A unit of play in tennis or squash. They played 2 sets of tennis after dinner. Being below the horizon. The moon is set. Fix in a border. The goldsmith set the diamond. Give a fine, sharp edge to a knife or razor. Mathematics, an abstract collection of numbers or symbols. The set of prime numbers as infinite. Put into a certain state. Cause to be in a certain state. Set the house afire. Put into a position that will restore a normal state. Set a broken bone. Set to a certain position or cause to operate correctly. Set clocks or instruments. The act of putting something in position. He gave a final set to his hat. The descent of a heavenly body below the horizon. Before the set of sun. A narrative poem of popular origin. Characteristic of those who are not members of the clergy. The lay ministry. Put in a horizontal position. Lay the books on the table. A narrative song with a recurrent refrain. Put into a certain place or abstract location. Impose as a duty, burden, or punishment. Lay a responsibility on someone. Lay eggs. This hen doesn't lay. Not of or from a profession. A lay opinion as to the cause of the disease. Prepare or position for action or operation. Lay a fire. Introduce. This poses an interesting question. Be a mystery or bewildering to. A deliberate pretense or exaggerated display. Put into a certain place or abstract location. Assume a posture as for artistic purposes. We don't know the woman who posed for Leonardo so often. Behave affectedly or unnaturally in order to impress others. Pretend to be someone you are not, sometimes with fraudulent intentions. She posed as the Tsar's daughter. Affected manners intended to impress others. A posture assumed by models for photographic or artistic purposes. A condition or position in which you find yourself. The unpleasant situation, or position, of having to choose between two evils. A job in an organization. The spatial property of a place where or way in which something is situated. The position of the hands on the clock. The particular portion of space occupied by something. A rationalized mental attitude. An opinion that is held in opposition to another in an argument or dispute. A way of regarding situations or topics, etc. The arrangement of the body and its limbs. The relative position or standing of things or especially persons in a society. Atheists do not enjoy a favorable position in American life. A point occupied by troops for tactical reasons. Put into a certain place or abstract location. The act of putting something in a certain place. An item on a list or in a sequence. Moved from third to fifth position. The post or function properly or customarily occupied or served by another. Cause to be in an appropriate place, state, or relation. In team sports, the role assigned to an individual player. What position does he play? The act of positing, an assumption taken as a postulate or axiom. The appropriate or customary location. The cars were in position. Attribute or give. She put too much emphasis on the last statement. Formulate in a particular style or language. I wouldn't put it that way. Arrange thoughts, ideas, temporal events. I put these memories with those of bygone times. Put into a certain place or abstract location. Make an investment. The option to sell a given stock, or stock index or commodity future, at a given price before a given date. Estimate. We put the time of arrival at 8 p.m. Adapt. Put these words to music. Cause someone to undergo something. He put her to the torture. Cause to be in a certain state. Cause to be in a certain relation. That song put me in awful good humor. Printing. The narrowest of the spaces used to separate words or letters. Mathematics. Any set of points that satisfy a set of postulates of some kind. Assume that the topological space is finite dimensional. Physical space independent of what occupies it. Physics. An ideal space in which the coordinate dimensions represent the variables that are required to describe a system or substance. A multidimensional phase space.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.